What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Honda video. What we're going to be doing today is actually the beginning of the engine pull and rebuild that I'm going to do. So finally getting to doing this. I've been pretty busy working on some other people's cars. I did an intake manifold on a friend's car yesterday. But yeah, so finally getting time for my car, which is good. Yeah, this thing's going to get a full rebuild. I plan to pull the motor out, completely rebuild it with new rings, probably put new bearings, probably rock the same pistons and rods as long as they look good, same crank and everything unless I see any major scoring, which I don't expect to find. But I am going to probably buy a remanufactured head just because of the corrosion and the potential issues I might have with valve guides. I just don't think it's worth it to try to put valve guides in this head. Just because of the corrosion. So I'm just going to buy a completely new head off of eBay, poured and polished for like $250, I think. So I'm going to do that, which is going to be large expense plus the new rings, and yeah, so it's quite a bit of work as well. And I'm going to probably try to clean up the engine bay, maybe paint it in there. So this is going to be a pretty long project, but you know, it is winter, so it's fine. I guess I'll just have the car apart for the winter. Or at least a month or so, and be working on it. So yeah, it's the start of a long project, but it's going to be worth it in the end. I think the car's going to run really well, and it's going to be ready for a turbo. I might even put it back together turboed, which would be really cool. So yeah, I'm going to begin today getting ready to pull the motor on this thing. First thing I'm going to do is take the hood off just to make my job much easier. So it's just the 4 bolts. They're 10mm. Couple right there, as well as a couple right over there. So take those out. Mine seems like it might be a little stuck. I think there might be a little sealer or something like that in there, but I'm just going to see if I can bust it off, and I'm going to set it aside, and then we'll get to doing some of the other stuff here. I don't yet have an engine to hoist. I'll be getting one in the next few days here, and then I will be able to yank the motor out of this thing. So with the hood off, you can see that I get much better access, much better lighting to everything. I think the first thing I'm going to do is take off stuff like the battery. This air intake here has to come off. I know I have my coolant hoses have to come off, so those are going to come off. Exhaust manifold is going to come off. You know, front motor mount I can probably take off. Rear motor mount I can loosen. The other 2 mount bolts. Just get everything ready to come out and start to unplug wiring harnesses and stuff like that. Gotta get all the harnesses unplugged. So yeah, I got quite a bit of work ahead of me, but I'm just gonna get started. Probably throw the camera on a tripod and time lapse it. Alright, so I figured I'd do a little bit of a recap here since I've been kind of just going for it, but got both of the radiator hoses off, all the coolant drained out. Yeah, I disconnected them, both the upper and lower, from the radiator and from the engine, and I got the battery out. Obviously I took the intake out. I went through and unplugged every clip. So I got this guy over here. Everything's unplugged from this side. You know, you got all kinds of things from the coolant stuff underneath the distributor to the speed sensor on top of the transmission, which is this guy right here. I know somebody commented asking about where the speed sensor is, but that is, actually that's the reverse sensor. Yeah, no, that's the reverse sensor, and the speed sensor is down under here. I'll try to brighten it up for you guys in the editing, but it is down in there. Yeah, so all kinds of wires everywhere here, but most everything's unplugged. I believe I can pull these connectors through here and unplug this now that I did it from the other side. But yeah, it's just you know, fishing everything through where it needs to come through, and you gotta undo all your coolant hoses, at least the ones that are, you know, major for the engine coming out. These, you know, little ones can stay on and stuff. I'll take all this stuff off after. I'm going to leave most of the engine together because it'll be easier to take apart once the engine's actually out of the car. So I'm going to do just what I need to do to get the engine out. I know there's still a couple of bolts that hold a wiring harness on the bottom of the intake. I'm going to go from underneath and take those off so I can take that harness off. And yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not going to have any snags here. So I'm going to maybe fit up the turbo manifold and see what that looks like. I got a wastegate too, so I want to see what the clearance looks like, see if we're going to have enough room with the wastegate in the orientation that the turbo manifold wants it to be. So I'm going to check that out. But on this side, I did the injector clips. I unplugged all of them. It's really not too difficult. They have these little clips here, like this, and this little clip you want to just use a pick and pry it off. Just gently, try not to bend it out too much. That one might have been one that I bent. See, all these other ones are kind of bent in like that, so I think that's how you want it to look, so I'll probably bend that one back. But eventually I'll be putting new injectors in there, so we'll have a different style connector that I'll have to solder on. But yeah, for now I'll probably rock the stock injectors again, unless something comes up. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Throttle cable came off too, just various vacuum lines I took off. Undid all the alternator wiring. Yeah, any grounds I saw. There's a ground over on the transmission over on that side. Undid. There's a couple of 12s that are on the side of the tranny with a little bracket. So I took that off. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, slowly picking away at it. Next thing I'm going to probably do is do the underside stuff, those 2 bolts down there for the wiring harness, and maybe start to take off the front rear motor mounts so I can get them apart. I did get some Prothane motor mount bushings. They're like inserts for the factory motor mounts. So if I put those in there, they should stiffen up their front and rear motor mounts. I hope that I'll be able to retain the front motor mount with the turbo setup. We're going to have to see what the clearance looks like. But yeah, I'm going to keep plugging away at this, let you guys know what else I end up doing. So it looks like I may have some trouble. There's the little cast turbo manifold that I got with the wastegate. Probably going to have some hood clearance trouble. Just looking like this, you can see it looks pretty close to where the hood meets there. So yeah, we may run into some issues with that. So I'm going to have to get a relocation tube. They make them that come there and dump it over here, and then the wastegate kind of hangs sideways. Hopefully our alternator won't be in the way. I guess we're just going to have to figure out, see as we go here. Not a lot of people turbo these F22 motors in Accord, so we're going to find out what we need to do here. But maybe a little custom, maybe some welding, we'll see. So I've accomplished a few things since the last video. I took off the alternator and I undid the power steering pump. I might disassemble that further, depends how difficult it is to get the motor out. But down here I still have the AC compressor that I want to take out because I'm going to delete the AC, but I got to figure out how to, you know, depressurize these lines here Got to get rid of that refrigerant in a safe manner, or I don't freeze my eyeballs. Yeah, you want to be careful when doing anything with AC. You're not supposed to really let it vent to the atmosphere either, but yeah, hopefully we don't have to do that. But yeah, so lots of things going on over here. There's the shift linkage down there, and what I like to do is pull out the little cotter pin, and then you can see my zip ties on there where I zip tie the washer in the exact way that it goes on, just so that I remember. It's usually the nylon to the inside and the metal on the outside. Now I think what I'm going to do is do the clutch. So there's a 12 right there, but I was going to take that off to remove that rubber line, and I decided that that was dumb because I could just take off this 12 here and then take off the 10 on the top of the transmission there that holds the clutch line, and then take off the two 12s on the slave, and then that would just remove the whole clutch line, and I can just move that out of the way, and then I won't have to bleed the clutch again when the job's done. So I'm going to do that. Let's see, what else did I do? Took off those brackets on the front of the engine there. Yeah, just unplugging stuff as I go, you know. When you're taking the engine out, it's tough, it's kind of overwhelming, but you know, you just got to do things that are absolutely necessary, and you know, it doesn't hurt to do other stuff that's easy too, like all this alternator stuff I might not have needed to do, but you know, it's not too bad, so just do it now rather than doing it later, because it makes the motor a little slimmer to pull out. So it is a new day, and I have done a couple of things since the last clip. So I've removed all of the air conditioning stuff. I want to delete the air conditioning anyway, so you know, it just would have been in my way for the motor pull, so I decided I would just get rid of it now. So I took all the hoses out and the compressor and everything. I'll show you guys. It's much cleaner in the bay here. Yeah, that's where the compressor was bolted down there. You remember the lines came all the way up here, all the way over, and you can see the firewall down in there somewhere is where the lines used to go in. So now we got a lot more room in here for the turbo to sit, because it's going to sit somewhere around here. This hose is going to go. This is part of the AC system as well. So once I get the bumper off, that hose will come off along with the condenser out there. So yeah, we're looking good. I have the hoist, so we should be able to get this motor out tonight. So I'll probably throw the camera up on a time lapse. I got to pull the axles really quick, and then yeah, we should have this thing jacked up in no time. Something that I almost forgot to do was drain the transmission fluid, since you know the axles aren't directly in the trans. So when you pull them out, some fluid's gonna leak out. So I did do that, and I got this axle out on this side here. All I did was pop off the lower ball joint down there, and then I just swung it like out of there and to the side, and then I was able to sort of manhandle the axle out there. It helps to pry it against the transmission. Obviously not on the rubber or the teeth or anything like that, but where it doesn't seal on the axle seal, you're fine to pry. So just gotta get the other side. Got the chain all hooked up here. There is a mounting area right here to pull the motor, and there's one in the back of the transmission. It's kind of down in that direction. So we got both of those hooked up. So something else I overlooked were these little brackets here for the shift linkage bracket. These little clips, and they make sure that the linkage stays in the bracket. So I took those out, so should be good to go there. and it's sitting on the ground right now. I will put it on the stand, but that'll be right after I get the transmission and clutch off and the head off and all that good stuff. And then I'll throw it up on the stand, but that is about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed. Maybe you learned something. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me. I'd be more than willing to help out. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next one.